Olivia Hartley thought she had the perfect life until she found her husband, Mark Hartley, tangled in bed with their teenage babysitter, Amber Collins. What happened next wasn't rage. It was cold, calculated revenge that left two bodies hidden beneath the floorboards and an entire town searching for answers. This is the true story of betrayal, murder, and a wife who refused to be the victim. Olivia Hartley lived in the kind of house people drove by and envied. The lawn was always perfectly trimmed, the porch decorated for every holiday, and her two children well behaved and neatly dressed. To anyone watching from the outside, Olivia had won at life. She had the husband, the home, the family, and the security most people only dreamed about. Mark, her husband, was charming, successful in his career, and had a smile that could disarm anyone. Friends called them the golden couple. But what no one realized was that golden things can rust, and Olivia's perfect life was slowly corroding beneath the surface. It wasn't a sudden collapse. It was small things, the subtle kind of betrayals that don't scream, but whisper. Mark used to send her sweet text messages during the day, little things like thinking of you or can't wait for dinner tonight. Those stopped. Conversations over meals became shallow. His phone, once left carelessly on counters, now never left his pocket. Olivia noticed all of it, but she chose silence over confrontation. She thought maybe it was just work stress or the natural dulling of marriage after years together. But a woman always knows when something is wrong. The shift wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. Love was slipping into habit, and habit was slowly turning into distance. Olivia had always been careful, always organized, always 2 steps ahead when it came to her family. She made sure the children were thriving, their homework done, their meals healthy. She remembered birthdays, anniversaries, favorite colors, and allergies. She knew her husband better than anyone, and that's why the signs felt like glass splinters under her skin. She didn't need anyone to confirm what she was starting to suspect. She just needed time to piece it together. When they decided to hire a babysitter, it seemed innocent enough. Amber was recommended by a close friend, came from a good family, and had a glowing reputation in town. 17, polite, always early, never complained. Amber fit perfectly into the neat little picture Olivia tried so hard to keep in focus, but perfection is often the easiest place for darkness to hide. At first, Olivia liked Amber. She reminded her of herself at that age, eager to please, hardworking, respectful, but that feeling didn't last long. There was something in the way Mark looked at Amber. Not obvious, never lingering too long, but just long enough to register in the back of Olivia's mind. She told herself it was paranoia, insecurity creeping in where trust used to live. But then came the missed calls. Receipts from restaurants Olivia had never been to, mysterious transactions for gas stations on the far side of town. Mark's explanations were plausible, but Olivia wasn't convinced. Women don't need proof when their instincts are screaming. Still, she kept quiet. She smiled when she needed to, kept the children's schedules full, played the part of the loving wife while her world began to rot from the inside. Olivia wasn't the kind of woman to explode in anger or break things in a fit of rage. She was the kind of woman who waited, observed, calculated. And by the time she truly understood what was happening under her roof, she already knew she wasn't going to cry about it. She was going to do something much worse. It started with moments so small they could almost be ignored, but Olivia's mind was sharp, and nothing slipped past her for long. Once attentive and present, now seemed distracted whenever Amber was around. He used to sit in his usual chair watching TV or helping the kids with their homework, but now he lingered in the kitchen if Amber was there, offering to help her reach dishes or asking questions that didn't need answers. His voice was softer with her. His laugh, just a little more relaxed. Olivia saw it all. Most people would call it harmless, maybe even innocent, but Olivia could see the difference. It wasn't innocent. It was intention disguised as accident. Soon, Amber started wearing makeup she never used to wear when coming over. Lip gloss that caught the light when she spoke, tiny earrings that sparkled against her hair. Subtle, but deliberate. Olivia noticed the way Amber's gaze sometimes drifted to Mark when she thought no one was watching. The worst part wasn't the flirting itself. It was the familiarity that had crept between them. They spoke in small jokes Olivia wasn't part of. They shared inside glances when talking about things that happened when Olivia wasn't home. Slowly, she felt herself becoming an outsider in her own house. The more she watched, the more Olivia realized it had gone beyond harmless flirting. There were text notifications on Mark's phone late at night, the screen lighting up with Amber's name. Mark would quickly turn it over, pretending not to notice. Sometimes he even walked outside to take calls, something he had never done before. Each new piece of evidence dug deeper into Olivia's mind, fueling something dark she hadn't felt before. Not jealousy, not sadness, but something colder. Something sharp and waiting. Then came the undeniable sign. It was a Sunday afternoon, and Olivia had taken the kids to her mother's for the weekend. Mark said he would use the time to catch up on work, maybe fix the loose cabinet in the kitchen. But Olivia, driven by a need for certainty, returned home early. She parked down the street, heart pounding but hands steady. The neighborhood was quiet, birds chirping, the occasional dog barking, but her focus was entirely on her house. That was when she noticed Mark's car still in the driveway, though he said he was running errands. The curtains upstairs were drawn, something Olivia never did. The house looked lived in, but not right. Stepping into the house, she saw the signs immediately. Amber's backpack by the door, a pair of women's shoes near the staircase, not hers. Olivia didn't need to see anything else, but the confirmation came anyway as she glanced up the staircase. The faint sound of movement, clothing rustling, and quiet giggles filtering down from the master bedroom. Everything she had fought to build, every sacrifice, every moment of loyalty was unraveling before her. But Olivia didn't rush up the stairs. She didn't scream or confront them. Instead, she backed away slowly, slipping out the front door as if nothing had happened. Something inside her shifted in that moment. It wasn't a breaking point. It was a moment of clarity. Olivia realized that destruction wasn't loud. Real destruction was quiet, deliberate, and cold. And she wasn't going to lose everything she had to two people who thought they were smarter than her. If they wanted to play games, she was going to show them how the game was really played. Olivia's world no longer revolved around family dinners or weekend outings. Her entire focus shifted to a single mission, planning the perfect revenge. It wasn't fueled by screaming rage or wild jealousy. It was a cold, methodical strategy that unfolded step by step in her mind. She became two people, one for the world to see, smiling, holding her children's hands, making polite conversation with neighbors, and one behind closed doors, moving chess pieces no one else even knew existed. The first part of her plan was control. Olivia needed Mark to feel comfortable, confident, even relaxed, as if nothing had changed. She needed him to believe that he was winning, that his deception was still a secret. She started being overly kind to him, laughing at his tired jokes, offering back rubs at night, even buying his favorite wine for dinner. Mark, never particularly deep or perceptive, began to fall for the illusion. He eased back into the role of the family man. But his secret relationship with Amber didn't stop. If anything, it grew bolder, like a child testing boundaries, certain they wouldn't get caught. Amber, too, walked around Olivia's home with growing confidence. She started borrowing Olivia's perfumes when she thought no one was watching, humming happily to herself in the kitchen, and texting Mark while Olivia was just feet away. The betrayal wasn't just physical anymore. It was psychological. It was a game, one Olivia refused to lose. Next came the false evidence. Olivia created a fake text thread with a fictional man, leaving just enough clues for Mark to eventually discover. She wanted him to believe she might be guilty of her own hidden affair, giving him a false sense of security. She wanted him distracted, smug in his betrayal, convinced she was too busy hiding her own secrets to notice his. It worked better than she imagined. Mark grew careless, and his text to Amber became sloppy, his lies more predictable, his arrogance painfully clear. The final part of the plan was opportunity. Olivia arranged for the children to spend a full weekend at their grandparents' house, something Mark eagerly agreed to. She told him she had booked a luxurious spa retreat out of town, a little getaway to relax and refresh herself. Mark encouraged it, even offering to handle things at home while she was away. Olivia smiled and thanked him, planting a kiss on his cheek, already knowing exactly where she would be that night. She even bought Amber a small gift, a bracelet with delicate charms, and told her she could stay over that weekend if she wanted. It was all perfectly set. Mark and Amber would have the house to themselves, convinced that no one would ever find out, convinced they had outsmarted the woman who had spent years learning their every habit. As the weekend approached, Olivia felt nothing but calm. She didn't see herself as broken or bitter. She saw herself as someone taking control back from people who thought she was too soft to fight back. By the time they realized the trap they had walked into, it would already be too late. The night Olivia chose for her plan was ordinary on the surface. The neighborhood was quiet, porch lights glowing warmly, the occasional sound of laughter drifting from nearby homes. It was the kind of evening where no one would suspect anything dark or dangerous unfolding behind the neatly painted doors of a suburban house. That's exactly how Olivia wanted it. Everything appeared normal, calm, peaceful. But inside her home, the true story was unfolding like a silent, deadly storm. Mark and Amber didn't hesitate to take advantage of their supposed freedom. Amber arrived early, carrying a small overnight bag, wearing one of her more revealing outfits. Mark opened the door with that smug, self-satisfied grin Olivia had come to know too well. They thought they were clever. They thought they were untouchable. Olivia had been counting on that arrogance. Before they even stepped foot inside the bedroom, Olivia had prepared everything. She had crushed sleeping pills into a fine powder earlier that day, carefully mixing them into the sweet strawberries she served on a tray alongside 2 glasses of wine. She had watched enough crime documentaries to know that people rarely question food or drinks given to them by someone they trust. Mark, ever the fool, believed Olivia had gone away for the weekend. Amber had no reason to suspect anything. They ate, they drank, they laughed. The drugs worked slowly, just as Olivia intended. Their movements became sluggish, words slurred, limbs heavy. What began as playful touches and whispered plans for the night soon turned into confused stares and panicked blinks. They tried to fight it, but their bodies betrayed them, sinking helplessly into the soft mattress of Olivia's once safe sanctuary. When Olivia finally revealed herself, stepping silently into the doorway, there was no screaming, no wild, emotional confrontation, just cold, calculated presence. Mark tried to speak, but his tongue felt thick, his muscles weak. Amber could only lift her hand weakly, confusion painted across her face. Neither of them had any strength left to run, argue, or beg. Olivia didn't rush. She moved like a shadow, steady and quiet, carrying the sharp kitchen knife in her gloved hand. The weapon itself wasn't important. It was merely the tool that completed what their betrayal had started. She worked efficiently, without hesitation, making sure they couldn't leave that room alive. There was no fury in her motions, no shaking hands, only precision. This wasn't about passion or rage. It was about control, about ending what should have never begun. With their bodies motionless and their eyes empty, Olivia felt a strange sense of calm wash over her. Not relief, not victory, just a stillness she hadn't felt in months. Carefully, methodically, she cleaned the surfaces she touched, wiping fingerprints, folding sheets to hide stains. Then came the hardest part, disposing of the bodies. Dragging them wasn't easy, but adrenaline made her stronger. Piece by piece, she moved them beneath the house, into the crawl space accessed through a panel in the laundry room. It was dark, musty, perfect for hiding what no one was ever supposed to find. Olivia finished the job just before sunrise, emerging into the pale light of a new day, her expression calm, her heart steady, her secret perfectly buried beneath the life she would continue pretending to live.